Hello, welcome to Thoughts on Tuesday. So I promised this week to do a summary of all 10 chapters, and I feel like I should be singing, and now the end is near, because it is, we're at an end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through the 10 antidotes to things that dull your shine. Now if you're wondering what do I mean by that, well, think about when we do shine. So when we're absolutely at our best, we're happy, we're successful, we're not stressed. And I'm sure if you think about it, that you'll know when there are moments when you shine too. But equally, there can be moments when we don't shine. Our health suffers, we're not necessarily pleasant to be around, we're consumed by negative emotions, we are less efficient, less effective, we're not getting the results that we want in work-life. And that's a really important thing to mention, that the book is focused on work and life because you are one person, because whatever cracks off in life influences work and vice versa. So the first antidote, which is in chapter 1, is to recognise when you're stuck, recognise when you're in Groundhog Day. I have stopped working with clients that can't move beyond this phase, because if we're stuck in denial, if we are prepared to continually moan about how things are, but we're not actually prepared to do anything about it, then we get to a position of put up and shut up, or do something about it. So chapter 2, once you've flicked that switch and you've got out of denial, you recognise that change is necessary, this is about you starting to own your ship. Now, I use a nautical metaphor throughout the book. The ship is you, it represents the whole you, and it is about coming off autopilot, taking charge of the results that you're getting. I also look at things like imposter syndrome and workaholism. And again, often when I'm working with my clients, it's usually people that have done too much and they're close to burnout. Coming off autopilot means that you've got to start recognising your talents, your gifts and your strengths. And towards the end of that chapter, I encourage you to set aside time for what I refer to as project me time. So time that you dedicate to yourself, and this is really important again for people that are overworking or have got imposter syndrome going on. It's important that they mark out that time and turn this book into a bit of a project where they work on themselves. So in chapter 3, if we want to make any changes, the first thing we do, so take for example, at the minute I'm at Fat Club, and the first thing you do is you take measurements. You take a snapshot of where things are right now. And again, I encourage clients to do the same. I get you to do a warts and all account. Really, how crappy are things for you? And it's important that you get to that honesty, because again, sometimes when I'm working with clients, I'll read the goal snapshot back to them when we've completed the process, and they will admit to me that actually things were a lot worse than that, but they just don't admit it to themselves. But we take a snapshot of what's happening right now, and then later on we start to address those things. Then chapter 4 is all about starting to create alignment. So again, one of the things that makes us shine is our day job aligned to gifts, talents and values. There's loads of studies out there that demonstrate that this is the right thing to do, but it's also great for confidence, self-esteem and also success. In chapter 5, so the 5th antidote, we start to look at how can we kind of steer your ship in the right direction. And again, sometimes clients don't actually know what they want. So being clear about what your version of destination joy is, and we start to express that through a vision, goals and tasks. But what we don't do is daydream and fantasize about these things, because studies show that actually you are jeopardizing your chances of success when we simply visualize our outcome. You know, feel free to daydream away, provided you visualize all the steps in between. The 6th antidote to a shine being dulled is havening. So one of the things that causes our unhelpful behaviors, beliefs and emotions, so things connected to overworking, imposter syndrome, there are often connections in childhood. And what we do with havening is we track back and we identify the trigger events and then haven them away. And that's where behaviour change from a coaching perspective can feel a little bit like cheating, because people slot back into that context without having to think through the strategy for behaving differently. Chapter 7 is entitled Running a Tight Ship, and again, the clients that I see that have these traits, sometimes they trick themselves up, and that's because they don't run a tight ship. So they don't manage their time boundaries, their people boundaries. And I will suggest to them sometimes that they need to rebrand themselves, rather than being known for the responsible type, the good egg that will get everything done for everybody, at the, sacrificing their own personal time. And again, this is what happens, is they end up overworking and their personal time gets squeezed so that they've no time to rest and recoup. Antidote in chapter 8 is about learning to like and love yourself, actually. I work with some amazingly successful people, and sometimes I'll sit there with my mouth agog because they still can't see how amazing they are and how successful they are because of this imposter syndrome thing going on. And what I've noticed with my clients is those that don't manage their inner dialogue actually can continue to trick themselves up. So you could apply all the previous strategies, but if you don't wrestle with and learn to take charge of hindering thoughts, we can self-sabotage. And I look at the different inner voices, how to use them compassionately, but also how to give yourself a kick up the bum, because sometimes we need that. We also look at what I refer to as re-seeing life. Gratitude has had so much press, hasn't it? Good press. But how do we actually do that? And how do we change our thinking style? I used to be right negative Nancy until I came across all this stuff. But I had to work hard at reframing my thinking sometimes. So again, I share those techniques. Then chapter 9, so the antidote to a dulled shine, is learning to manage your own emotions. Because do you know what? We do get rough seas, we do get things that will hit us, and how do we deal with those situations? I am completely fallible, just like everybody else, and when the crap hits the fan with me, I will use something like EFT. I'll take myself off, do a bit of tapping, start to shift the emotion, just so that my ship doesn't get dragged down by the limiting emotion. So that's the antidote in chapter 9. Then the final chapter is called the mess deck, which I covered last week, and it is all about how we rest, recharge, refuel, and refun, as I referred to it last week. So traditionally, the mess deck was an area of the ship where sailors would do all those things. And again, people with workaholism, imposter syndrome, it's really important to adopt those good habits and learn to love life again. So my lovelies, we are at the end. Thank you so much for those loyal watchers. You know who you are. I really appreciate it. I will be in and out doing vlogs as and when I'm inspired. But thank you very much. Take care. Bye.